I know today has been a long and perhaps taxing day for you. Thank you for making it through. Have you ever had those moments where a certain person's face flashes in your mind and your chest tightens? Or perhaps a bitter memory resurfaces, keeping you awake late into the night? It is not because you are a cold or cruel person that you feel intense anger or even find yourself wishing for the downfall of someone who hurt you or ignored your worth. On the contrary, it is a sign that you have been deeply wounded and are fighting a desperate battle to protect your own heart. However, doesn't that fire of resentment scorch your own soul before it ever reaches the other person? Does it not steal away your freedom? The energy required to hate someone is heavier and darker than we often realize. And it can slowly erode the precious time we have in this life. Today, I want to share with you the wisdom of Buddhism, a lineage of insight over 2,500 years old. To address this unstoppable negative emotion that so many of us face today. By the time we reach the end of this journey together, I hope you feel the chains binding your heart beginning to loosen, allowing you to breathe a little deeper. Let us begin with a story from a time long ago. In a quiet village in ancient India, bathed in golden sunlight, lived a young man named Kassapa. He was diligent and kind, but a shadow had fallen over his life. A merchant from a neighboring village had betrayed a business agreement and spread false rumors about him, destroying the reputation Kassapa had worked so hard to build. His heart became consumed by hatred for this merchant. Even the sound of the man's voice carried on the wind would make Kassapa's blood boil. He spent his days wishing for the man's ruin. Food lost its flavor because the enemy's face would appear in his mind with every bite. At night, he lay awake, replaying the insults he wished he had said, unable to find a moment of rest. His complexion turned sallow, his vitality vanished, and eventually, even his fellow villagers began to avoid him. Seeking a way out of this misery, Kassapa visited a sage sitting in meditation beneath a Bodhi tree. "Master," he cried with a trembling voice, "I cannot forgive the man who betrayed me. I thought seeing his misfortune would bring me peace. Yet he prospers while I burn as if I have swallowed fire. How can I escape this agony?" The sage slowly opened his eyes, pointed to a glowing, red-hot coal on the ground, and said, "Kassapa, to hate someone and wish for their suffering is like picking up a burning coal with your bare hand to throw it at them. Whether it ever hits your target is uncertain, but your own hand is already severely burned." Kassapa was struck by these words. He realized that in his quest for revenge, the person who was being hurt and exhausted the most was, in fact, himself. The sage continued, "For the next few days, do not try to force yourself to forgive him. Simply practice setting that coal down on the ground, not for his sake, but to heal your own wounds." Over the following week, Kassapa struggled. Often, his anger would flare up, and he would find his hand reaching for that metaphorical coal again. But each time, he whispered to himself, "Right now, I am burning myself," and he focused on the sensation of his shallow breath, consciously slowing it down. Slowly, the enemy who had seemed so giant in his mind, began to recede into the distance. He began to see that the merchant was simply another flawed human being, acting out of his own greed and ignorance. Kassapa didn't necessarily forgive the man's actions, but he reclaimed his right not to be ruled by them. As peace returned to his face, so did his business and his friends. Meanwhile, the merchant eventually brought about his own ruin through his continued dishonesty. Without Kassapa ever having to lift a finger, Kassapa had used his energy for his own renewal, gaining a peace far deeper than any revenge could provide. This story reveals the essence of anger and what Buddhism calls attachment upadana. In modern terms, attachment is the mental glue that keeps us stuck on a negative thought. Paradoxically, by obsessing over someone you hate, you are making them the protagonist of your life. You are giving them a front row seat in your heart. Buddhism teaches us the concept of impermanence, anicca, the truth that all things, including your anger and that person's cruelty, are in a constant state of flux. However, when we cling to a grudge, we take a snapshot of a painful moment and freeze it in time. We force ourselves to relive the trauma over and over, which is essentially a form of self-inflicted harm. Another core teaching is interdependence or conditioned arising, pratitya samuppada. This means that everything happens due to a web of causes and conditions. That person's toxic behavior isn't usually about you, it is a result of their own internal darkness, their past traumas, or their lack of awareness. By wishing them ill, you are jumping into the same mud pit they are in. The Buddhist concept of compassion karuna starts with yourself. It is the wisdom to realize that you deserve to step out of that mud and wash yourself clean. To practice this in your daily life, the first step is mindfulness sati. When you feel that surge of irritation, don't suppress it. Instead, observe it like a third party. Say to yourself, "Ah, a strong wave of anger is rising within me." Don't become the anger, just watch it pass like a storm cloud in the sky. The second step is establishing a mental boundary. In Buddhism, we speak of equanimity upekkha, which is a state of mental balance. Imagine a thick glass wall between you and the toxic person. Their insults or coldness hit the glass and fall harmlessly to the floor. You recognize the truth that they may never change, and by accepting that reality, you stop expecting anything from them, which finally sets you free. The third step is loving kindness metta directed toward yourself. At the end of the day, offer yourself words of validation. I did well to endure that difficult situation today. I am proud of myself for not giving up. This shifts your energy away from the person you hate and back toward the person you should love most, yourself. Remember, your anger is a sign that you desperately want to be happy. Don't waste your precious life force on someone who doesn't deserve it. You are a person of immense value, and your future is bright, regardless of what that other person does. Today, let go of the burning coal. When your hands are empty, you finally have the space to grasp the happiness that has been waiting for you all along. If this story resonated with you and provided some insights or learning, I'd be delighted if you could press the like button. Also, if you subscribe to the channel, I'll be able to continue sharing various life wisdom and lessons with you. Please share your experiences and thoughts in the comments section as well. Each person's experience becomes valuable learning for other viewers. Thank you so much for watching this video to the end today. I look forward to meeting you all again in the next video.